This is a response video to Domo Leviticus' video about Simone de Beauvoir and sorts of gender roles and how we need play in our society. I'll put the link down in the doobly-doo, as the Vlogbrothers would say. But so the problem I have with a lot of SJW discourse, or like, no, it's not SJW discourse, but it's this whole sort of, there's sorts of polemics you can put across towards people, but there's not actual sort of compromises that you can make based on, like, oh yeah, we have this in common, because often these compromises are done in sort of mealy-mouthed, sort of academic ways where it's like, oh yes, we are all equalized by death, and that makes us equal, or some shit like that, which is ultimately just this, like, Foucaultian sort of panopticon garbage. So I wanted to go into that. I wanted to go into particularly the way that I've consumed Foucault and that sort of existentialism stuff, this pop existentialism in particular, and how that's come across to me as like, this fucking sucks. Fuck you, Foucault. Foucault, bitch. Now, so you can hear Weezer in the background. There's a Marilyn Manson, an Amazing Atheist video. They're hard to confuse. I mean, distinguish to easy. Where he's playing Tool, and so I'm paralleling that with this video where, oh god, I look like I have a neck beard. That's not good. I look like I'm some sort of like can't decide secular or devout Jew, and I'm like, hey guys, want to take a motherland tour? But so why I've never really related to this sort of polemics is that I don't feel like I've ever had that be useful for me, is like all these polemics, because I've always felt like people use words to sort of summarize your identity to you. They'll be like, oh, you're so violent, you're so compulsive, or stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, so this means that whatever identities that you use are sort of like ways that people can put you down. Oh, you're lazy. Oh, you're immature. Oh, you're always taking breaks. This sort of subjective use of language, which is why oh no. People are moving towards this area. I need to look outside. And that's the Smashing Pumpkins. And now it's kind of cold, not really cold. And so this puts across the whole problematic, or the schematic of the problem, of like words and identity to me, and like having discussions with people and having relationships. People, whether they know it or not, are idiomatically inclined. Even if you don't consider yourself a man of words, you consider yourself a man of action, that still requires that sort of linguistic assignment, this sort of idea of yourself as this kind of person. And so, therefore, it becomes somewhat linguistic. You could say, like, oh yeah, I'm not cringe. I don't have this sort of, like, picture of myself. I'm just, automatic all the time. Automatic for the People, the REM album. But the automaticity is debatable, because you can be automatic, but you can be sort of having like certain self preconceptions, which, you know, are still, I mean, how would you say, these preconceptions are still digital. And so, oh, it's, look friends, it's my hair. It's still hair right here, right hair for you to see it. Anyway, so that's always been my struggle, is sort of spontaneity. Is like, one side of my brain is, how do I say, like, I'm right, and then another side of my brain is like, why the fuck are we having this discussion? It's retarded. Why the fuck are we having this discussion? It's retarded. Let's chill. Let's go with the flow. And so, if you're the sort of personality type to be like, oh, I'm always right, or something like that, or like, you're always justifying things in your head, you're justifying, you know, your vision of yourself as like a character, but you're also the sort of person that is like going with the flow, that kind of gets a contrast. And to an extent, this is necessary, because one part of that equation, you know, working, you know, to always be right, it's working on the outside world. But going with the flow, the Queens of the Stone Age song, is much more personal. It's much more about your vibe. And my battery is almost out, so I'm going to have to end this video soon. So in summary, that's why, you know, this doesn't apply to like black or white, or like gay or straight, or any of those, because like those are sort of objectively, or sort of easy to define cultural constructions, where it's like, yeah, we get that. And so it's not as much that you're going to be like, oh, I resent being called this. But that's my problem with the blotter idea, the Crotter idea, because I'm a Crip, of identity. What do they have, like a B L O O, and then there's a D, and then look it up, like the sign for the Bloods. It's kind of interesting. I didn't know hand signs actually worked like that. Like, you spell it out with your fingers. So that's my problem, because it's like subjective. Like, that's my whole problem with like nerd culture. I fucking hate nerds, even though I am a nerd. Like, I've always been. I hate nerds. I detest them. They disgust me. I want Star Wars to not exist anymore. Now, obviously, like, Star Wars is just, you know, a sign for the problem. It's like language. There's gonna be language to replace language. The essential problem I have is not that the language is used. It's the pretense it's used under. It's like, oh, I use this language, therefore this is my image of myself as a person. But then I'm like, that's just not original. That's like a sort of thought terminating cliche. You think that makes sense conceptually, or that matters conceptually. But in the end, if you try to run a political program based off of, oh, I feel like this, or I feel like that, that leads to closed-minded behavior, because it takes many to run a village, whatever the cliche bullshit fucking garbage is. And so that's the sort of credo I go by, is that rather than sort of, rather than trying to create new personalities, let's just limit existing personalities. I don't know. Fuck Foucault. Foucault is fucking garbage. I don't even know if I dislike Foucault. But fuck Foucault. Foucault fucking sucks. Fuck it, let's do it live.